277 new Yale sites. So I think that speaks to the success of the platform that's going on here at Yale, that people recognize that YaleSites is a good tool for building and managing their content, and they're quickly deploying it. We're not building all this, it's a lot of it self-serve, and thank you for making YaleSites so powerful, because the more people that we have using YaleSites, the better feedback we have, the better product we have because of the network effects. We've also now have a grand total of 927 sites in the cloud. Now, that's kind of background. It really doesn't impact a lot of you on the day-to-day, but from building an infrastructure and our ability to maintain and grow and make YaleSites powerful, having everything there in the cloud allows us to offer a better, more stable, secure architecture, and allows us to do a lot of things in the DevOps realm. So it's a little bit nerdy, but we're really excited to be in the cloud. We also, last year, we did 130 different training classes. So we offer these throughout the year. I suggest that you take advantage of it. If you have new members of your staff and your colleagues who are new to Yale, get them involved and get there in the training. On the forum, which is our primary way of providing support for questions, we had 556 different questions asked in the last year, and we helped resolve them. And those questions in the forum, we do them in a public space as a mechanism of providing public answers and to help self-service. So in case we've had a question that has been asked before, you can help and you can kind of look at it there and kind of have that information of knowledge there. We've also done 72 one-on-one trainings. We recognize that making an advanced site could be a little bit difficult at times, and there's challenges, and we're here for you. So when you have kind of issues that you need to have that one-on-one person that you don't think is going to be kind of resolved on the forum, or you just want to have a little personal guidance, reach out to us and we'll provide that one-on-one expertise. What I'm really most excited about since I arrived here at Yale is now YaleSites really we support here with ITS now the whole life cycle of the website support. So now you can come to ITS and you can come through our sister organization, User Experience and Design Services, and you could just come with the idea of a website. And then we'll help you gather business requirements, we'll help you with the information architecture, we can help you with the wireframes, we can help you with the design, and then we could take that design and then we could build and actualize that design with the team, and we could build out your Drupal site, and then we can provide support and security. So we ensure that updates are available for you, and that you're provided hosting through central IT, and that's at no cost. So Yale's really committed to YaleSites, and we're really committed to kind of supporting the whole life platform. So that's a lot about YaleSites, and this is the state of the YaleSites. Why are we the Yale Digital Conference now? Why the name change? Well, I think in most part it was, it's kind of been the fashion, right? We've had this big change with Calhoun coming to Hopper, and I've been thinking a lot about Hopper and Grace Hopper, who was the first woman Ph.D. in mathematics here at Yale, and you hear a lot of things, you hear a lot of stuff about Amazing Grace and all the things that she's accomplished and the importance she has in the development of computer science. And sometimes we have this tendency to kind of look at these great figures and say, this is someone who didn't accomplish, her intelligence must have been light years ahead of us. It's not something that we could really model, we could really imitate. And the reality is that if you look at her biography and you look at her life story, there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from Grace. And I want to talk a little bit about her. So the first thing that I think is really awesome about Grace Hopper is that she invented the compiler. And in many ways, by inventing the compiler, she was like the innovator of user experience, because she made the argument to people in computer science that you are not your user. She said, people don't need to know how the metal works directly to code an assembly language We don't need people who know ones and zeros. We need to start writing in a language that's in English, or in French, or in German. We need to write this language, and we need to abstract it. Because the only way that computer science is going to flourish is if we started and made it more accessible and increased the audience to everybody. So that was a brilliant, brilliant move. And it's a move of, not of intelligence, but of trying to create openness. She also invented COBOL. Well, she didn't invent it, and she created the predecessor, but then she created a community around it that really did that. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But COBOL, in 1997, the Gartner Group said that 80% of all computer code written in the world by 1997 was written in COBOL. 80% of all business operations. And another 5 billion lines of COBOL were being written every year. I mean, what we had, the whole computer revolution, was in many ways started by the creation of this programming language. The key word here, though, is common. What happened is that everybody wanted to have their own unique programming language. And Grace Hopper helped organize a conference in 1959 at the University of Pennsylvania, where she said, we need to work together. We need to not have every computer having its own language, but we need to write a language that allows us to work in common. And she did that by building community. She recognized that it's not just the importance of having the technical prowess to write code, but the importance was of being an advocate for different levels of technology and creating conferences and creating discussion spaces. So there's a lot that's been written about that 1959 conference at UPenn, but it's not just what came out of the committees, and it's not just the documentation. It was about the conversations that took place between one and one. And I hope everyone here takes advantage of that conversations and that idea. Because the reality is you're going to learn some things from up here on the stage and at this conference today, but the real lessons are going to be taking place when you talk one-on-one with each other. So make connections, form bonds. So let's build upon this tradition of Grace Hopper. Let's make the web easier to use. Let's solve common problems. And let's collaborate, advocate, and build community. Now those are high end, so let's drill it down about stuff that means, and what is that? So these are the visions, so what does this mean for the missions of YaleSites in the next year? What we're doing is we're moving, we need to get outside of Yale with what we're doing with YaleSites. We need to take our code that we have here and throw it over the wall. We need to have other institutions using our platform, because that's how we're going to make it stronger. Grace Hopper brought together coalitions, brought together people from outside, and we need to do the same thing. So YaleSites for the next version will be called Open Ivy, because we should take what we're doing here at Yale and make it open and accessible to all, and kind of share it. And the more people that we have participating, the stronger that our code is going to be. So you can follow the project along. It's a Drupal.org project, Drupal.org/project/Ivy. And you'll see that over the course of the year, the project living there. But the principles are going to be, we're going to be building dynamic and elegant websites. We need to have the ability to create custom websites that are powerful while preserving the visual identity of Yale. Because in order for us to be effective communicators, we need to speak as Yale. We need to provide a sophisticated suite of tools, a secure and stable architecture, optimized for accessibility and user experience. It's going to be free and open source, and it's going to circulate content between multiple platforms and channels. And that last part, facilitating multi-channels, is very, very important. Because we have to think beyond, in 2017, we have to think beyond websites. We have to think about managing content on our digital platform, on our screens, and virtual reality. We have to think about we have to think about omni-channel distribution. That's why we're beyond websites. That's why the YaleSites camp needs to kind of be downplayed, and we need to start thinking about the digital, and that's why we're now the Yale Digital Conference. So let's talk a little bit about today. And I really, as a plenary session, it's not about me, but I want to talk about why I'm excited about a lot of the sessions. There's going to be a session on why choose YaleSites. I'm excited about this one because Danielle's not part of my team. So it's somebody from the community coming to speak and to show the power of YaleSites and how when being the web isn't your primary job, why reasons that you should use YaleSites. Mark Strickert's going to talk about social optimization. Again, it's not enough just now to put something up on your website. You have to think about how you make it aware and how you make the community aware of it. And social media is one of the prime drivers, and Mark is going to tell some of the best practices there. How visible are your events, James? James, we're not just, being online is not just enough. I mean, it's really important to be in the meet space, as they say, right? In the actual space. So gatherings like this are important. Raising awareness of people talking and raising awareness of what's going on are there. So James is a very important talk about making sure that people come to the events that you're having. Designing and sub-theming for YaleSites. We had 180 people switch to the new themes, the themes that we released into last year in 2016. I think more of you should use it. it answers the accessibility concerns. It provides a top-notch visual identity. It merely makes you look like Yale. And there's a lot of ways to custom. So this session is going to be great about learning how to really kind of leverage your YaleSites and make it look awesome. Harry Shaikhet is going to talk about the future of Drupal and content delivery. So I did a presentation at the Yale Tech Summit, and it was what comes after websites. And then somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, that's cool, omni-channel distribution and all these ideas. I thought you were going to talk about like VR." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, for virtual reality." Well, actually, no. We're doing a project with digital humanities in virtual reality, and we're using Drupal to do it and YaleSites to do it. So it's a really cool presentation. If you want to think about the future and learn more about Open Ivy and what we're thinking about the long term, this is the session to attend. Michael Connery is someone who's, I'm privileged, he's the Vice President Digital at Weber Shandwick. It's someone that I'm very privileged that he's come to our session today. A lot of my ideas that I have are just plagiarized from him. I think this is really how to think about the content smartly, and how do you take it beyond the website, and what is content strategy, and what does that look like, and what does it mean to think about platforms? This is a great session. Zoe's going to talk about online news best practices. So there's, you got to think about each of the niches. And this, I want people to start thinking about not just the technology, but the kind of words that they're using. And there's also a session, I don't know where the slide went, but on use your best shot, take your best shot. And that is about the importance of visual. So the web is, the writing and the visual aspects of the web are as important as technology. The accessible configuration and development of Drupal, Michael Harris. Accessibility is important for a couple reasons. It's important as an institution that we make our information as accessible as possible to all flavors of the human experience. But it's important that we have that, not just because we have these great ideas that we need to share them, but by making our information available, we're also allowing other people who have different ideas of life to participate, and it makes our network and our knowledge base stronger. Furthermore, making your site accessible also means that you're setting up the structures of your site for better distribution on different channels. So an accessible website has a lot of effects on building your website for the future. And also, last but not least, is April and Karis are going to be talking about building for the user. A lot of times when we build websites, we're stuck in our own head, and we're too trapped in thinking about how I use the website. This is a great session on learning how to put yourself in the other person's shoes. It's like what Grace Hopper said, when you are not the user. And this is to think about, how do you think about the other people, and how do you design in a way that provides for a great user experience. Harriet, this is, if you want to get really advanced at seeing the cutting edge of some of the projects that we're doing, learning how Drupal and Mirador are interacting. And Mirador is a high-end system for image notations that we're doing with the University of Chicago, the Vatican, and Harvard. It's really top-notch. So if everything seems a little soft and you want to get a little bit like in the weeds, this is a great presentation. So let me kind of wrap this up, because I know we have a lot of things. So the web is really, I think it's obvious that the web is revolutionary. The web is changing. It's almost cliche to kind of think about that. And one of the great things about Yale is, everything is so beautiful and historic here. And I went to the Beinecke Library, and in the Beinecke Library, we have Gutenberg. There it is, the Gutenberg Bible. And it's something that everybody heard about the Gutenberg Bible, the first book printed on the printing press. And you see it. First of all, I had no idea how beautiful the Gutenberg Bible was. I was like, I didn't know. I thought it was going to be like some sort of pamphlet just slapped together. It's an incredible, beautiful thing. And that printing press, it's obvious, it's a cliche, it changed the world, right? But that revolution was tough, and it had unanticipated consequences. The revolution of the printing press and movable type overturned authority. Because now we went from something that was being exclusive and rare and written in Latin, to we had something that was allowed to be mass-produced, increase mass literacy, and printing could now be in vernacular. So this is a picture, a painting of Martin Luther with his 95 Theses put on the doorbell. And everybody goes, "Oh, that's revolutionary. He must have really sticking up." No, that was actually common. This is really how we did an academic debate. It was much like we do today. We put up flyers and said, "This is where we're coming to this conversation. We're talking about that." That's what Martin Luther did. But what made Martin Luther revolutionary was Martin Luther was the social media master of his day. He's the one who said, "Wait, there's a printing press. So instead of just posting my ideas on the door, I could start writing pamphlets." And the pamphlets that he wrote were a mass phenomenon within years. And that started the wars of religion. And so as an unintended consequence, it's something that we think is all great. We actually had the wars of religion because authority was kind of shattered. And we had to rethink what reason was. And I mean, this is the birth, Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan is considered the birth of modern political philosophy. And the book is fundamentally a result of the wars of religion. And how do we start to rethink about reason? And how do we have the idea? So some of the things that we take for granted about civil government, of the rule of reason, of secular authority, that's a direct response to the printing press and Thomas Hobbes. Does that sound familiar? The situation that we're in today seems like a very similar to that situation, where web publishing has now been democratized. And everybody could publish a lot of different things. And everybody could start their own blog or their own news site. So we have this proliferation of news and sources, and we have this whole issue of fake news. And that's now we're entering to the equivalent of the wars of religion right now because we have this breaking authority. So that's what Andrew Goles is going to come to and speak about today at 1 o'clock. He's the general manager of Vox.com. I think that Vox does unparalleled work in explaining the news and thinking about these news. And he's going to talk about the hidden rules, about what's happened because of this explosion in web publishing and the new world that we went in. And so if you're interested, this is going to be a really great conversation. I'm really, really excited about it. So what I want to do now is I just want to say thank you all. This is a picture of Grace Hopper saying sudo. And sudo is from Linux, Unix, and it means that you have the authority and the power to do stuff. And so I want to give you all sudo privileges in this community. I want you guys to come together, help build it, make this something awesome, because it's not about the people up on the stages, it's about y'all. And it's about all of us working together to make something awesome, because that's how Grace Hopper operated, and that's the tradition that we have here at Yale, and it's the tradition that we should build upon. So thank you very much, and let me know if you have questions. That's a good question. I do think is that this conference in the coming years is that I would like to have help, and I would like to make this a bigger conference, and I would like to take it, and I would like to have one day that was devoted to Yale, but then I would like to have a second day that we expanded this community, and I would like to get feedback from this community about how we kind of expand in a way that we don't lose our soul and what makes YaleSites great. So, okay. Well, welcome. Have a great day. Enjoy if you need anything. There's a lot of people in shirts. It's the Yale Digital Conference. I'm sure they'll all be willing to help you. And thank you and welcome. And let's build this community.